Hey, 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 hey. Welcome to the Spirit Wisdom Reset Podcast Show. Today's episode, we are going to talk about creating sacred space. Creating your sacred space. Creating sacred space. Either way, it's going to be sacred. I think this is an important topic because a lot of times we're so busy with life, we don't carve out something specifically for us, whether it be a sacred mindset, whether it be a sacred space, whether it be a sacred space in the mindset, a sacred space in physical reality, or even a sacred space emotionally. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Mm,
there's so many different ways that having that sacred space wherever it is a must for our movements every day. It's a must for us to have high vibrational movements. It's a must for us to have peace and calm in our mind. It is a must for us to be able to have a space to freely move forward progressively in our lives. Sacred spaces help you do all of that to me. It's important for me because um, without some of those sacred spaces that I've created within me and out external from me, dude, I'd probably be batshit crazy. You know what I'm saying? Trying to do too
mhm,
much and get caught up and so forth. The sacred space for me signifies one of the things it signifies is a time to slow down, to sit still, to rest, to be at peace, um, and just be.
mm.
Just be. And you can have that anywhere. Wherever you at, you should be your sacred space, as far as internally, I feel like anyway. What you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that sacred space, there's a progression to it. And
Mhm.
essentially, at least for me, it felt like when I was first learning of like what that was and kind of stepping into my own like self-discovery journey, spiritual journey, it felt like it had to be this external thing.
Yeah.
But then over time, I learned that it's actually just within me, and the whole aspect of your inner world creates your outer form,
Yeah.
and then you realize it's just sacred space is you can go within and experience that, and then literally
Yeah.
shift your whole perspective of what you're seeing external. Like it can literally shift just with
Yeah.
but that can take time, and that's a
Yeah.
process that
Mhm.
I feel a lot of people do have to navigate that. Some can pick that up really
Mhm.
quickly, but also it does help to have that in your home,
Mhm.
or even just going out in nature, or finding places, because I know sometimes home is can be a place of chaos and trauma and just
Mhm.
frustration and overthinking, right? So
Mhm.
sometimes we say, oh, and you'll hear a lot of people, like in the spiritual community and on the blogs and all that stuff, talking about like having this sacred space and wanting to do that, but it can be hard to do that at home.
Yeah.
And so what are some other places? Where are some other places? Sometimes it's you in your car and just you connecting. um, Sometimes it's through, we've kind of talked about this, um, when we talked about like changing your vibrations and music and sound, and that can shift your, you shifting your frequency can also just align you into that sacred space.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that part is important to just be mindful of, that if you are in a situation right now where it's not possible for you to have a physical sacred space in your home, uh, it can be within yourself. Sometimes it could be having some tangible reminders. If
Mhm.
it's, is it a bracelet? Is it a crystal? Is it a ring? Is it a necklace? Is it just a quote?
Yeah.
And just to remind you to be in that, um, to go to that place, and that you can always go there. But it will take practice sometimes, especially if you're
Mhm.
not used to uh, connecting with your body, trusting your intuition in a way that feels safe, that feels uh, powerful, that feels secure. Um,
Mhm.
and that's part of that self discovery and spiritual journey.
Right.
So, recognizing that that part is not always easy, but you can get there if it feels challenging for you now. Um, but yeah, at the end of it all, that sacred space is within you, but having the physical aspect, or something that's tangible, um, or just a reminder, just like this episode, hopefully, is a reminder for you to create that space
Mhm.
for yourself.
Mhm, mhm. Like, you deserve it. Like, it's important. You actually matter also. You
Hmm.
matter too. You matter to we always sometimes wanna get and create peace for everyone else and
Hmm.
think that that is the way that we will receive it ourselves. You have to generate that space within yourself before it will be able to manifest outside. And if you are somebody, I used to want to make everything peaceful, and because I had the idea that if everything was peaceful outside of me, then I would be able to have or experience some form of peace. Although that logically sounds to be true, it is the wrong way of thinking from my perspective and from my experience with my babies and I call my babies my clients. You all probably know that by now, but from my experience, um, and from what I've seen and what I've taught, it works better when you create it on the inside first because it's then sustainable because you are what you have control over. Right?
Hmm.
You are the person who has control over what you do on a personal level. You can make everyone happy, and it could probably last for about 15, 20 minutes for some, 2, 3 weeks for the next person. But they're going to experience their own thing and they're going to shift and alter, and then where does that leave you? If that's how you're deciding to get your sacred space, and that form of peace, because to me, sacred space and peace are one and the same. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So if you are somebody that is constantly looking outside of yourself and thinking that that is a way to gain it, take a look at how you really been receiving it and how it wavers depending on the other person and where they are. So for me, on a personal level, I've learned that it's not facetiously saying if you disrupt my peace or disturb my peace, you can't be around me. It is just, I have decided, it is a decision and a choice that I made that I am going to operate in a specific manner, and I need to have that sacred space I need to be dwelling in that sacred space internally always. And because I decided that from a personal standpoint, um it's nothing against the party. If I have to remove myself from them or them remove themselves from me, it can work either way, and it wouldn't bother me because I would still be in my sacred space, and I don't have anything ugly or ill to talk about them on or anything like that. It doesn't make any it is what it is. I walk myself through the process of what I teach my babies. You have to accept what is as is
Hmm.
before you can see the light of in the change. Before you can see the
Yeah.
light in the change, you got to accept what is as is. And I take myself through a 1, 2, 3 process to keep me in my peace. I do not want to be outside of my sacred space long because I understand that outside of my sacred space, I am not fully operational.
Yep.
And
Come
I
on
have
now.
to be fully operational. And I have to be my very best. And I've learned what is the very best for me to operate efficiently and effectively in my mission. And what I'm supposed to be doing is to have space, and that is to be sacred, and that is to be filled with peace, and that is to be filled with harmony. And that it is what it is. Some people thrive off the chaos, some people thrive off of the constant um, pressures of their day, and I don't find joy in that at all. As a matter of fact, I'm least effective that way. And I think that the majority of us are. It is just that we've been taught that we must go, 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 go. We gotta please, 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 please. But based off of what we wear, most of the times we get stuff not because we like it, but because we think how other people might think we might look in it.
Hmm. Hmm.
You
Yeah,
see what
it's a
I'm saying?
conditioning, a societal
Yeah,
conditioning. Um,
yeah.
and I definitely feel like, yeah, like it's easy. it's easier to get like triggered or activated by pain and frustration and rage and anger and all of that, all of those things.
Mhm.
And there's a time and a place for that, but then there comes a point where like you can actually choose to be activated through
Mhm.
inspiration. You can choose to use that as your motivating factor to take
Mhm.
initiative. um, and you can do that from that sacred space, especially when it's coming from within you. um, and it's it's easy to justify when you have external, when you focus on the external, because other
Mhm.
people can get in the way of that, right?
That's right.
So that's
Mhm.
one of the things to be mindful of, one of the barriers, right? If you just focus on external aspects of space, if you're thinking of, so to be clear, when we're talking about sacred space, it sacred space is not solely, it's really not about physical space, right? We're
Right.
talking about
Right.
that, and we're including that in this, but we are talking about the non-physical aspect of sacred space,
That's right.
and how you can have a physical space as a representation of that, but it's not, that is not the core of it, right? Because
Mhm.
something can happen to that physical space. Somebody can come in there, something can be ruined, whatever, or that item, that tangible item can be lost, and then what, right?
Right.
But when you always return back to your center, to that whatever that, wherever that is within you, and you pull from that place, then that could be your starting point. You don't always have to focus on the things um, that upset you or frustrate you, but you can also transmute that. It's like, okay, what is this? Use that as
Mhm.
an opportunity and be like, okay, well, what is this inspiring me to do? And actually,
Mhm.
prior to us recording, I mentioned, I'm on my journey to becoming a licensed therapist, and I have a lot of frustrations about the process and about the system. And you will be hearing a lot more about that down the line. It was through this process that I learned, like, ooh, okay, this rage, this anger, this frustration. First of all, I'm not going to stay in this because I don't want to stay in this space. But
Right.
let me pull back and let me use this. Let me be the observer, right? And look at what is
Mhm.
this going to inspire me to do? Am I only just going to be pissed off and upset, or
Right.
let me change my vibration? Wink, wink.
Well, okay.
Shout out to our previous episode.
Baby.
Yes,
Okay.
I had
Right.
to change my mindset on a lot of things, and so
Yeah, I don't
being
have
able
to.
to, right, exactly, but being able to
Mhm.
go back and use that sacred space as like my, I call it like my think tank. It's like, ooh, I don't want
Yeah.
to think, I don't want to be thinking about things that, in a physical realm form. I want to be in my sacred space, and use that, and be
Mhm.
in that space.
Mhm. Let that spirit lead you. That's right. We have the ability to choose. We are the author of what we choose and how we choose it. And we create our choices, or the result of our choices, by the choices that we make. But there's a place right before you make that choice where you're able to see. And guess where you can see everything clearly at? In your sacred space.
Hmm.
You can see everything clearly in your sacred space. And it is important to do the right things at the right time, in the right places, with the right people. It's important. And you find that out in your sacred space. Like, there's benefits for creating it. Creating it is which is what our title is, and I'll say this really quickly. We told you what the benefits of a sacred space is. We've told you what it does for you, what the possibilities that it can do for you. But how do you create it? You have to make a choice that you want something different first. And once you make that choice that you want something different, then you start seeing everything that's around you that doesn't align with what it is that you've been guided to do. If it doesn't align, then see where you are out of alignment in that area, or something similar to that area. Get yourself together, and all the things that are not in alignment will fall away. It'll be removed from you, or you'll be removed from it. And, that is a form of creating that sacred space, looking, examining, making the decision, and setting yourself up to sit in that space. and do nothing. Still function in your everyday life, but say, today, I'm going to be greater today than I was yesterday. Today, just for today, I will not anger. Just for the day, I will do my work honestly. Just for today, right? Just for today. You work on one day at a time. Sometimes you get up and be like, just for the first 2 hours, I'm going to make certain I do my best to do this, that, and the third. For today, I'm going to be happy. Today, I'm going to share love. Today, just for today, I'm gonna. And when you start doing things like that, your space, you can see stuff happening around you. You be like, oh, okay. Hmm. When normally, if you weren't in that sacred space that you've created for yourself, oh, you done got hooked up, wrapped up, trapped up, angry, frustrated. We know
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't happen on a personal level, where you just all of a sudden get towed down. You just be like, "Oh, I'm upset," you know? That's because you were outside of your sacred space. Eventually, you'll get to that place to where once you've created it and you know what it feels like because you feel the most at peace. You are the you operate efficiently when you're in that space, and everything
Mm-hmm.
seems to flow. And even though there might be hiccups, bumps in the road, or challenges that come, you still are able to flow through the process and not get attached to those things that aren't going a specific way. You just keep going and you
Yeah.
just keep going. And when you do that, you realize that, oh, this is what my sacred space is. And there's a feeling that comes with that. Everybody, to me, has a different feeling of it because nobody can quite describe what it is for them, let alone somebody else understanding what they're trying to describe. So it's a feeling that is uniquely yours, that is most advantageous if you just take the time to get to being a part of it. So, creating your sacred space is
Mm-hmm.
vital. And this has been a wonderful episode, to share. It is my hope that you all have grabbed something from this and that you can take it and apply to your everyday life, because we just not taking out our time to just talk to you because we think we know something. We're sharing with you what it is we've experienced. So, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you stopping by. You can follow us on all of our social platforms, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and that's it, right?
You can also connect with us on anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music. Just recently started doing podcasts as well. So you can find us on there. And yeah, so if you want the audio experience or the video version, you can connect with us and let us know, how do you feel about this episode. We'd love for you to rate and review on any of those podcasting platforms, or you can share your insights with us on our YouTube channel or on our Instagram and all the previously mentioned social media platforms.
Yes, yes, yes. It's been a pleasure. All right, y'all. Till next time.
Bye.
Peace.